Yo guys, welcome back to my YouTube channel, or welcome if you've never been here before. I hope you guys all had a great Christmas yesterday, and I just thought I'd jump on today to make my pre-market forecast for the week commencing the 27th of December until the 31st. So let's just jump into it. So I'll start with Nzdusd this week. Alright, so Nzdusd, the analysis from last week, it's still pretty much in play, but a couple of things have changed. So looking at the daily time frame, we get a break structure here, and then we get a breaker structure there. So within this wick here, which is what's marked on, that's actually the current daily point of interest, which is also the 8-hour point of interest. So I'll show that in a minute. Now, what we've also got, and this order block here lines up with the order block on the Australian dollar, US dollar. So what we've also got is this daily impulsive order block. So I think in terms of that, it does make sense for price to come all the way back up here, even though that was the order block which caused the previous breaker structure, not the order block that caused the current breaker structure. Now, considering that as a possibility, if we do get up there, then we can look for sales out of there. But right now, that's probably going to be at least a week away, really, probably possibly more. So I'm not really thinking about this area too much right now. I'm more interested with what's happening on the 8-hour and what's happening on the 4-hour. All right, so last week I was looking at the 8-hour structure. So we've got break structure here, the mitigation. We've got another break structure here. So for me, that created this high probability point of interest here because we've got a mitigation there. So this area up here within this 8-hour leg, for me, that's an area where we're quite likely to see price push away from. So I still think that until we get the body close above on the 8-hour, I still think that we're pretty likely to see a move away out of this 8-hour area. So for me, this week, I'm going to be going into the week with an open mind, but I'm going to be aware that we're in this high probability 8-hour point of interest for sales. So I will be looking for potential selling opportunities to continue out of there, and then potentially we can see price come lower to take this liquidity at the lows. Now, considering that though, and as well as you'll see on AU, this is quite a highly correlated pair with AU, so just selling off from here, it would be a bit surprising because I do think that we're going to see some more upside on AU. So I've also identified a possible bullish opportunity here on Nzdusd. So looking at the 4-hour, we've got this 4-hour range here, and then this week just gone, we've had the break above it. Now that break of structure comes from this order block here, and on that can pretty much be refined down into this wick here. So I'd say very early in the week, if we do get down there, we start to see reaction for buys coming off the order block, then I'll be definitely happy to get involved in that, because that is literally the sell move which caused the most recent 4-hour break structure. So yeah, for me, I'm pretty happy to buy from there if it comes to it. If not, then I'll be looking for sells out of the 8-hour, and I'll also take sells above this area if we do see them lower time frame patterns coming in. But yeah, that's NU. So this isn't really the cleanest pair this week because we're obviously in the 8-hour POI, and then we've got the conflicting 4-hour break structure with a 4-hour POI. And for me, it doesn't really fit my rules, so I'm not looking at it. But we've got this area here, which is a pretty clear order block with imbalance. So there's a lot going on Nzdusd. It's not the clearest, but for me going into this week, I'll be looking for buys out of this area, and I'll be looking for sells out of this area here. And then yeah, hopefully if we do get the buy, then that'll break the structure on the 8-hour, which will invalidate this whole downwards picture, and then we can just follow new structures to take ourselves up to that daily impulsive order block. sell out up there. So yeah, that's Nzdusd. The other pairs are a bit clearer, but this one, that's what I'm thinking for this week. So let's jump into AUD/USD. Alright, so this one's a lot clearer than Nzdusd just because we don't have that second daily break. So we've got more clarity. So AU, we've got the break structure that we've been looking at. It's pretty much the same as we were looking at last week and the week before, and I think the week before that as well, to be fair. So we've got this POI here, which is the last buy that caused a sell move, which broke structure. Okay, so now I'm basically just looking for price to retrace back up here, and then we can look to sell away from there, right? Now, looking at the range, even if we go from where price is right now, we've still got 100 pips, but if we go from some of these points of interest, we're looking over 150 pips before price does actually reach there. So we've definitely got them smaller time frame buying opportunities on our way up to this area here. So when we get there, we'll look for sales, but in the meantime, I think I've got a couple of POIs for potential buying opportunities here for you guys, so let's check it out. Alright, so for me, at the minute on AU, the cleanest is the 8 hour, so that's what I'm using for this lower time frame analysis here. Alright, so on the 8 hour, we get a break of structure 1, which leaves behind this order block here. Price comes back down to the order block, it fails to close below it, so we actually get a rejection away from it and a liquidity grab below. So for me, that's mitigation with a liquidity grab, which basically means that they've mitigated the orders, they've grabbed the liquidity below this low here, and then they've continued up. Now, when we see that second break of structure coming in after this mitigation and liquidity grab happens, that essentially validates this order flow invalidation line. So we know now that we've got bullish order flow, definitely, and that bullish order flow won't be invalidated until price closes below this line down here. So knowing that, and knowing that on the high time frame we've still got a reason to go over 100 pips higher, I think it makes sense for us to look for these buys in the short term. So basically, it's pretty simple in terms of my POI selection here. So we're looking for buys within this range. Now, there's clearly this huge sell candle here, and you've got to remember as well, this is the 8 hour, so a candle like that is very significant. And that basically caused this impulsive nature, and it's also got imbalance above it. So for me, that's clear evidence of institutional activity, and that's essentially where the last area where we saw that institutional manipulation coming in. So that's why I think that's probably the best POI this week to look for buys on AU to take us up there. Now, though, just being aware of where the order flow invalidation line actually is, it makes also perfect sense for price to just dip below this area, come down here into these wicks, and then go up. So first thing I'll be looking at this point of interest here for buys to take us up to that daily POI. Failing that, I'll still be looking for buys if we start to come down into here to then again take us up to the daily POI, and then yeah, if that all falls through, then I'll have to redo the analysis. So let's see what happens, but I think we've got a pretty clear buying opportunity here into what again is a pretty clear selling opportunity. So it's pretty clean on the AU, at least for me at the minute. I think it's a pretty nice pair. So let's just see what happens with AU this week. So I'll put a written version of this analysis in the description, guys. So if you guys want a written version, then please just click the link in the description and you can look at that and you can print it off or cross-reference it with your analysis, whatever you want to do. And if you like these videos, guys, please subscribe. I'm so grateful for every subscriber I have, and I love to produce this content for you guys, and it's great to know that you guys are watching it. So if you do enjoy it, then please subscribe. So, alright, euro dollar. So I commented last week, but I made a mistake on this one last week, guys, so I apologise for that. But this analysis, I've double checked it, everything's correct, I think. So we've got our daily point of interest that we've been looking at for a couple of weeks now, and we're sort of reacting off it. So that's a buy, which caused this break of structure here. So this candle basically. Now, just taking into account the daily, what makes more sense is that we're just going to continue selling out of this area. This is basically all just manipulation into the highs, so that we can sell off. That said, though, we've been in this zone for a long time now, and what we've also got is this point of interest that I spoke about a few times on the previous forecasts. So we've also got is that point of interest up there. So considering that we are actually sort of struggling to go lower, or at least it's taking a while to go lower, and we've got this up here, which I think it makes sense for price to revisit. That's what's got me thinking we could potentially be seeing some type of reversal coming in now. And also, as I'll show on the lower time frames in a minute, we've got some bullish structure. But yeah, just before I go to lower time frames, within this, selling out of this area, out of this rectangle here, selling out of there is valid in terms of my understanding. There's an order block here, and price could just continue away from it. So to me, selling out of this area is absolutely fine, and that's one potential opportunity for this week. Is again just like all the previous weeks where we've been in this zone, just selling out of this area. The thing is though now, after studying the 4 hour, there's basically this bullish market structure which is developing. So what we had this range here, which then we got the break structure down there, and then what that created was a 4 hour low and a 4 hour high here. So we get the breaker structure to the high. Alright, so that gives us this whole point of interest down here. Price comes all the way back down, wicks below it to do the mitigation and liquidity grab, before then breaking structure to the high again. So that confirms essentially a shift in market structure to go toward bullish market structure. Now, what we also got, because we had that mitigation that took place and the liquidity grab, we've also now got this order flow invalidation line, which is clearly there. So we had our POI within this wick from last week for buys and the order flow invalidation line. So for me, that indicated that we had a good probability that buys were going to be coming in this week, and that's what we've seen happen. So right now we are just in this sort of bullish move here, and how long it is going for, I'm not really sure. So the thing is, if we are going to go higher, then we've had break structure 1, break structure 2, we've come back to a point of interest, and now really it's just a matter of where it's going to start buying from to then break this daily structure. So after this whole move down here, the mitigation of the point of interest down there, it's already happened. So we're essentially just in this bullish move. So following the market structure of this bullish move on the 1 hour, we've got a break structure there on the 1 hour. That creates a new high which we've not managed to break above yet, and that whole leg comes from down there. So for me this week, that's what I'm really looking at on the euro dollar. Hopefully we can take buys out of this 1 hour point of interest, which is reacting from a 4 hour, and that's what I'm most interested in. Now, until we break this high here, I'm still interested in buys in general out of this whole 4 hour point of interest here. So if we don't react from this area which I've marked, then I'll still be watching the lower time frames as price comes into this area. But then as well, as I've said, we've still got to remember this daily point of interest. At any time we could just start traveling downwards. If I see strong evidence of that, then I may get involved. But yeah, for me, I'm really looking at more of a bullish thesis on the euro dollar right now, and I'm looking to buy it primarily out of this 4 hour point of interest, and as an extension of that, I'm looking to buy it out of this 1 hour point of interest, which is basically caused after price has reacted off this area. So that's euro dollar, guys. Yeah, I'm sorry if there's a bit of messy analysis this week. If it looks messy, it's just what's going on the charts. Like you can see here, we've just got a consolidation, and the way that I do my analysis for where the rules get applied, it just ends up looking a bit messy sometimes. But yeah, hopefully you guys understood what I'm thinking there on the euro dollar. Alright, so pound dollar, another messy one. So pound dollar, looking at the daily, it's the same situation as what we've been looking at the last few weeks. So we've got the most recent order block that caused this whole breaker structure, and I was predicting that price would travel back up to it away from this 6-hour POI. And last week it couldn't have really been much more perfect. It's come into the 6-hour POI that I marked, and then it's travelled straight up, straight away from it. So the reason why I've got the 4-hour and the 6-hour breaks on is just because the 4-hour break, it's only the first break. I think that the 6-hour breaks actually tell an overall better story of what's going on here. But I did just mark the 4-hour break on for the purposes of identifying this order block, basically. So from a daily perspective, we're traveling upwards, and then when we get there, we'll look to sell out of this area up here. So in the meantime, we're looking for shorter term buying opportunities while price is traveling back up there. Alright, so we had our first break structure. There was our first buying opportunity last week. Now we broke structure again on the 6-hour. So within this high and this low down here, we're looking for places where price could potentially retrace to before then traveling higher. Now looking on the 6-hour, we've got all the way down here, but for me, I don't really think price will come all the way down there before just traveling slightly higher, because you know, if it is going to come all the way down there, then I think it will go higher first, and then that'll change the situation, because then we'll have the daily point of interest reaction in play. So for me, I was more interested in the 4-hour and 2-hour areas which I've identified for buys. Alright, so following from this 4-hour breaker structure, which is essentially the same as this 6-hour one, what we have is this low here. So this is the 4-hour low, and for me, that's a pretty clear order block. So it's sell to buy, cause the impulse. So if we do come all the way down there, then that's definitely where I'll be looking for buys, and then out of this area, hopefully we can be taking it up to that daily point of interest. Now, what I'm also seeing is that here we've got this actual base, a little consolidation on the 4-hour, which did actually directly cause the break of structure, and it's also where this initial imbalance starts. So yeah, for me, this is also a valid reaction area. Now, what I did is I just dug in a little bit on the 2-hour time frame, and what we can see is that this is actually the 2-hour low, which then caused that break of structure. So on the 2-hour, this is a really nice order block. I do think that this one is quite a high probability one, the 4-hour low, but it is quite far away as well, considering if we are just going to start selling off from here, will we really bring it all the way back down there? So that's why I marked the 2-hour one on as well. So yeah, but what it comes down to, we're looking for buys at the minute until we get in there, and for me, I'm looking for buys out of this area first. If that fails, then I'll look for buys out of this area, and then I'll be looking to target this daily point of interest, and then when we do get into that daily point of interest, I'll start to look to take sells. Then hopefully we can take price into new lows, new daily lows, take out all the liquidity underneath here. So yeah, it looks pretty cool on GU this week, to be fair. I think all three of those opportunities are pretty decent opportunities. So yeah, let's see what happens on GU. Alright, so Euro Pound is probably the cleanest pair this week, to be fair. So Euro Pound, like I've been speaking about for a few weeks now, we've got this 2-day break of structure mitigation. Then we had this point of interest up here, which we were watching. As price came up to it, it's failed to break above, liquidity grabbed just above it, and now we've started to move away. So after this liquidity grab up here, at the highs where the 2-day order block for sells is. We've actually seen that order flow transition. We've seen the sells coming through. Now we broke structure here, and then we've broken structure again. Hang on, sorry guys, my break structure's wrong there. Yeah, so we did break structure there, but then we brought back up again here. So yeah, so that's what the actual 4-hour structure looks like. Sorry for that, guys. So yeah, it didn't really change. Well, it doesn't change anything at all. So we're moving basically away. We're moving downwards away from the 2-day point of interest for sells. And what we've had that breaker structure there, and then we've had another breaker structure, and that's caused by this order block. I mean, this is super clean order block. It's literally a buy, which causes an impulsive sell move. So going into next week, I'm just going to be waiting until price does actually tap back up into this area here, and then we can look to take price away from there. And yeah, I'll just zoom out a bit because I do think that this is important information. But basically on the weekly, we've got liquidity all under here, liquidity. So you know, if they come down into here, there's so much liquidity that the liquidity that's built up there will act as a strong incentive for the institutions to be pulling the price down here. And what we've also got down here is an order block, so that's even more reason for price to come down. So considering what's going on with the weekly time frame and the 2-day time frame, I think a bearish bias is super strong right now on Euro Pound. So it's just about looking for those entry opportunities into this downtrend basically, and looking at a 4-hour, it doesn't get much cleaner than that in terms of order blocks. So let's see what happens this week on Euro Pound. Alright, and finally it's Pound Yen, probably the simplest pair. So last week predicted the break structure, so we were looking for buys from there. It's literally gone straight from that area, and now we're up in this POI for sells. So for me, I basically got the whole daily POI marked for sells. For me, I've got a little refinement there in the middle where I'd ideally like to see it coming from. But yeah, on GJ really, I'm just looking for sells from a daily point of interest. So I'll probably be following like the 1 hour, the 2 hour maybe. The 4 hour price is just so far away from the current low. I want to see essentially another break to the high and then a new law develop before I start to really consider the 4 hour right now. But yeah, with pound yen really, it's just a case of we've had this break, we've got this order block, and now we're coming back up into it, and then we're going to sell off away from it. So that's what I'm looking at on pound yen, and yeah, it's not really, there's not really anything fancy going on here. It's just the daily order block. So let's see what happens with the reaction from a daily order block. Alright guys, and that's it. So thank you very much for watching. I hope you guys have enjoyed this forecast. Like I say, I'm sorry if some of the analysis was a bit messy, but some weeks the market's just not as clear as it is on other weeks. And you know, if you're still going to analyse it, then you've just got to draw more lines on the chart. But I hope you guys still got a clear picture of what I'm thinking on each pair. And if you've got any questions, then please just leave them in the comments below. Like I say, I've got the written version of this analysis in the description. So if you guys want to check that out, then just click the link in the description. Other than that, guys, if you're enjoying my videos, please subscribe. If you've got anything to say, please comment. And I hope you guys have a great trading week. I hope you guys have a happy new year. And thanks for watching, guys.